known both of these women, and I've seen both of these women navigate just life in general and life as Black women, and have risen above what society had planned for them, and also potentially what disease and disaster had planned for them. They have taken their mess and turned it to a message, and they are going to share with us from their zone of genius about really all things finances, but specifically in the area of disease and disaster, and what we do when tragedy strikes and we've got to figure out whether or not we choose medicine or a meal. It's terrible that we're in this country and that's, what we're faced with, that we have to choose between medicine and a meal. That's a whole nother show. We won't get into all of that right now, and I don't want to take up their time. Kicking us off is Dr. Temeca Richardson. Dr. Temeca Richardson, by a long-standing, has been an excellent educator throughout the nation, basically. She's been from the West Coast to the East Coast and South, and I guess she's technically considered South now. She is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. She'll say a little bit more about her. Like I said, I can't grab my phone and read her bio to do her any justice. But what I do know is she is doing phenomenal work in helping to educate people on mindset and the power of having a positive mindset to even know what to do with your money. I'm not going to give her presentation. She will do that. Dr. T, welcome. Thank you.
I really feel like Miss Anita was supposed to go first. That's not even right. I just knew Miss Anita was going first.
We flipped the coin and your name came up, so it's
yeah. Thanks for having me, Rev. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us why you're here.
Well, who I am, Dr. T. I'm a long-time educator. I think I remember back to my days as a Sunday school teacher in church, where I had command over all the kids from diapers to high school, and was managing them. And I was barely in high school myself, so education has always been the love that's been in my heart. And what saved me, if I'm being honest about it, growing up in poverty, growing up living from house to house, growing up in foster care, with having the third highest grades and being a star athlete, still growing up with a lot of those challenges, and education still being in my blood, and desiring, Rev, to actually go to school because I didn't want the home life, as my way of escape. So I really fell in love with education. I would say that education has been my first love. And because of that, I have my undergraduate degree, 2 master's degree and a doctorate degree. And the only reason why I share that is because what it means is that I'm in a lot of debt. So that's really what it means, is I'm in a lot of debt because my education is a house payment, right? But that is the reality that some people face when they're thinking about going on to higher education. It's not just about having the letters behind your name. It's also about a financial responsibility that you have with that as well. So I took that all the way up to the level of area superintendent. Almost the entirety of my educational career was in California. I served all of Northern California, Sac City Unified, Natomas, charter school organizations. Heck, I did a little bit of everything. I was in Stockton, and went all the way up to principal there. God said it was time to leave Cali. And so I obliged, and I moved to Texas without a job. That's not what I recommend for common folk. You got to have some grit behind you to just be able to listen to God and jump, right? You got to have a little bit of grit. And I moved and got a job as an area superintendent. And when I got to the highest level that I have attained in education, it was the level that almost broke me. It was the level that almost broke me because I saw things in the backside of education that people don't talk about. That was illegal. That was wrong. That was morally wrong. And I remember crying in the parking lot one day, Rev, and saying, God, I know you didn't bring me here for this. I had hit another level of depression. I mean, I said that I couldn't do it. And after a year, I walked away. And I know you remember the part of the journey where I was sicker than I've ever been in my life, fighting for my life, in the bed, sick, in the bed. They don't understand in the bed. You understand and remember the in the bed, Red. But in the bed for more than 2 years, in the bed, lost everything in the bed. Watched them come get the Harley, the Infinity in the bed, lost the house in the bed, lost the retirement fund in the bed, right? And the thing is God was dealing with me with something, and I realized that was really a critical point for me because I recognized at that time there was no need to worry about nothing because there wasn't nothing I could do about it. That it really like there is this sense of worry, and I know that right now in where we are in the world today, there's this gigantic sense of worry. People that don't have money, people that are dealing with health, people that are dealing with money and health, family, mental health, all these things. I got to a point where I had nothing to worry about. I couldn't. When you get to a point where there's literally nothing you can do. Like literally nothing you can do, worry left the building. And that was when I got to a point of, I think we talk about the testing of faith and growing to a higher level. That's when I really began to see my relationship with God grow even stronger. Might not be a place where I should be talking about that, but it's always a part of me. And so I just learned that there's nothing I can do. So I'm going to just keep living. Went through 5 rheumatologists. They diagnosed me with everything. Rheumatoid arthritis, first lupus, remember that? Lupus first, then rheumatoid arthritis, then fibromyalgia with chronic pain, 5 RA doctors across 3 states. I was able to heal a little bit there, got a job in the ed tech world. And Rev, many people don't know that. And I didn't know at the time it was crazy. I was offered the job and they told me it was going to be in the East somewhere. It was going to be either Atlanta. I had a choice between Atlanta, South Carolina, and Florida. And because I knew it was there, I, honest to God, left everything I owned to my sister, everything in the house, whatever I could pack in my car, which was mostly my art, could go, and my clothes. And I headed east.
Wow.
I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know. I just knew I was going there. So, and then I remember my supervisor at the time called me because I was telling the story. I didn't think it was crazy. She was like, did I tell you? I said, no, I was going that way. I just got in the car and drove. And I realized later as people said that that's not normal. I was so tired of Texas. I was tired of because Texas was sick, and it was that depression, and it was this heaviness that was on me. So I had to leave. Yeah. I got there. God told me that it was going to be a sitting place, not a staying place. I remember the day I got a text message and asked would I want to come to Atlanta. I said, I can go to Atlanta today if you want me to. I'd pack everything today and leave if you needed me to too. Wow. I was in Myrtle Beach, never went to the beach. I know I'm crazy. And I remember God telling me what I was going to Atlanta for was bigger than I'd ever seen. And from there, this work that you see on my wall, Dysciplined, was born. That's where it was born. Wow. in a way that I would have never seen. I mostly right now work with people who trade like Forex, crypto, and the stock market with mindset. But that has recently been about to explode because it's always been about ministry, women, and outside the walls of that, but teaching people about mindset. And on December 14th, when I got a phone call from my last company that said that they no longer needed my service, I have not looked back since. I have not looked back since. I have not missed a meal since. I have not had to move when I thought I would have to move. I just have waited on God, and I have not turned back since. So that is where I am and why I'm here today.
Wow. Talk about navigating disease and disaster.
Every part of it.
Every part of it. So
every part of it.
I'm gonna put you on pause for just a second. Thank you for that beautiful setup and that intro, because after, when we get back into this next phase, we're gonna give Miss Anita an opportunity to say hi to us and tell us, who she is, what she does, and what she's here for. Then we're gonna get into the meat of it. So, Doc, hold on, because I'm coming back. I got questions for you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Miss Anita.
Well, I'm not sure if I could follow that.
You can.
But anyway, I'm Anita Johnson, and I am the CEO of Money Wisdom for Women. And so a little bit of my story, like Dr. T, I am an educator, but outside the classroom. I'm an educator in my own business. And my parents were educators. And so I did kind of follow them when I went when I was doing education in the private colleges like Phoenix, Consumers River College. I did a little bit of that, but I found out I like teaching, but I really didn't like the classroom per se. And so years ago, I've always wanted my own business, no matter what. I wanted my own business. When I was working for the state, I was making good money. I stopped right in the middle of that, right? For a couple of reasons, because I wanted to have my own business. But the other thing is that my son was 13 at the time, and I had always promised myself when he got to be a teenager that I needed to be home with him more. And because he and his dad and I had divorced, he needed discipline. And he needed me to be at home and be accessible to him. And so I did that. And so that side business became my business. So I've been doing this for 20 years. And so let's fast forward to the opportunity that I had to do the work that I'm doing now. I started off as an accountant, bookkeeper, tax preparer. Still do a little bit of that, but mostly what I do. And one day I decided I was going to go get a master's. And like Dr. T, that all that says is I got debt. Right? So I decided I was going to go get a master's in taxation because I was going to become a tax attorney. And so when I finished my master's degree, I found out and started doing some research in law, and I found out you cannot, and this, like, it's naive, right? So I thought I'd just go to law school and major in taxes. Well, no, you go to law school, then you go work for somebody, right? And then you get the experience. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to work for nobody. I've been working for myself for, at that particular time, probably 15 years. I was like, ain't doing that, right? Because somebody tell me I have to be somewhere at 8 o'clock, that ain't happening, all right? And I got an hour lunch, oh, that ain't happening, right? Or I get a 2-week vacation, that ain't happening. So anyway, by me working with women and doing their taxes, I could see, and these were women who were single women or married, single, but they were making lots and lots of money, 6 figures, high 6 figures. But they were so worried about not paying taxes. They were worried about when I'm going to get a tax refund. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why do you need a refund when you got, you earning all this money? And then I started looking around at family members and especially, and then my mother, especially because my mother, when her and my dad were married, my mother would get a new car every 4 years. She'd have money. She'd shop and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And then when she retired, she was living off of like $1,500 a month. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you have worked all these many years. Why are you living in poverty? Then I had to look at myself. as being divorced and divorced a number of times. Right, that's another subject. Right, and I had to look at myself and how I handled my money. So I just, and then so what happened is I decided to go get a PhD in finance, and my research would be about the difference between Black women and white women and how they handled their money. Why were Caucasian or white women retired and didn't retire in poverty as much as Black women? So one day, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I guess it was just a line. I got this call from this guy who sent me over a client to do their tax return. Her husband had just died. And I said, hey, bring me XYZ paper, this and that. And she was in her 40s at the time. And this had to be a good 10 years ago, probably longer than that. So she was in her 40s. So probably 20 years because she and I were the same age. And so she's like, well, what does that look like? And I was like, you don't know what a W-2 looks like? And she's like, no, I don't know. I don't know what the tax return. She says, my husband put it in front of me and I signed it. Whatever he did, he put it in front of me and signed it. And that got me to thinking of why. And so that was my first taste with that. And then so as I was doing my research, I actually found out, you know how the research, they put in women of color, white women. Women of color, white women. And I was like, no, that's not going to work for me. Yeah, I'm like, that's not going to work for me. I want to know about Black women. The women of color thing doesn't work for me. Okay, it might work for somebody else, but it doesn't work for me. And so, so anyway, I started pulling out things, and then I decided that it was a mindset that we have, not just Black women, but as a race that we have when it comes to our money. First of all, we weren't taught, right? Okay, we weren't taught, and then we shy away and we fear. Right. So I help people in my business as a financial behaviorist. I help women in my business to not fear money and stop being disconnected and to think about it in a healthy way. So some of those unhealthy habits, I help change or help them change them into healthy habits. And that can mean we're not talking about a budget anymore. We talk about, because budget is money on a diet. So I talk about a financial. Say that again?
The budget is what?
Money on a diet.
Wow. Budget is money on a diet. So
first time when you say budget, what you be thinking? Well, I can't spend. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, that's not, no, I want those shoes. And what I have to do is figure out how to get them. Right. And so if that means taking a picture of it and put it on the wall and you looking at it, or you strive to do something and that can be your reward, then you're looking at something totally different that I can't. Okay. And so and one of the things that I found out in my research is that a Black woman's net worth is, when I first started, was $5. Now it's $1.
Oh, we're down to $1?
Yes. Yeah, it's still at $1.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So, and Dr. T, chime in here, with what you got. But here I am, everybody on this call is educated. Everybody on this call has a degree. So that means we all have that same debt. But if I'm not mistaken, those statistics show that Black women are actually some of the most educated women in the nation.
Yes, that's true.
And our net worth is $1?
Yes. I remember interviewing this woman, and I can't remember her name. I have a radio show years ago, and her daughter, she's a single woman, making plenty money, right? She admitted on the radio show that she had not saved a dime for her daughter to go to college.
Wow.
Which meant that she would have to take out loans, or she would have to set, and she said to me, I buy what I want. I do. I have this big, and she was living on the East Coast at the time. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I really need to do something with this. I really need to do something. And so people who, like us are educated on the call, yeah, we got debt. And sometimes what happens is that we think that our check is our net worth, but our check is not our net worth. Our check is our assets, have to do with our net worth. And we bought into the house, and last year I got rid of my house. I was happy as I could be, and I rent a room, and I'm just as happy. Everything I own is in a room.
So you and Dr. T, packing up your stuff and putting it in.
I sold everything.
Ready to go at any moment. Everything.
I sold everything.
We're gonna go to the chat. We're gonna go to the chat in a minute to see if there are any questions. But Doc, what do you think about that dollar?
Well, there was a couple of things I was writing as Miss Anita was throwing out all these hit rocks with our net worth and things like that, and it's and when she was talking about mindset and money, it is people have to understand not only what their relationship with money is, but identifying their money mindset to begin with. And you can tell what a person's money mindset is when you kind of look at how they live, right? There is this thing about, okay, I'm trying not to bring T-Rex out, but T-Rex might come to the building. The thing is that we as a community, like we showy. We like to show our net worth. We like to wear our net worth. We like to drive our net worth. We like to live in our net worth only for somebody to come by, watch this and say, ooh, I like this house you live in. Your house is big. And then when they leave, we are left with the really pretty house bill and the really, really pretty electricity bill. So we like to wear our net worth. We like somebody to see that we made it instead of having money in the bank to prove that we made it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I can see how our net worth is down now to $1. It's because we live on credit cards, because we don't have the discipline to be able to do the things that we need to do in order to have the things we want to have in the future. I'm trying to help somebody.
You're showing out, doctor. You're showing out.
I'm trying to help somebody.
The chat is going crazy.
What my dad told me, my dad had plenty of sayings, and I use them now because I didn't know what he was talking about when he was telling me these things. But now I know. My dad told me we buy things to impress people we don't like.
Oh, and you people in the back, Miss Anita. Are you preaching to the people in the back? It's because we need somebody to pat us on the back to approve what we knew we shouldn't have done in the first place. That might preach all by itself. How prove something we shouldn't have done in the first place.
One of the things is that we really have to, and I agree with you, but we have been, and we're probably going to talk about this a little later. In my research, I look at all the stuff that as a people we have been oppressed, right? Okay, right? And I'm not blaming the oppressor, although I could, right? But we're not going to do that. But we're so oppressed until it's just like, okay, I'm from Louisiana, and I'm from a small town of 500 folk. Okay, right? But my parents exposed me to things because they were educators, right? Mm-hmm. And so the one thing, and I ain't mad at nobody, but one thing is I will not buy a Cadillac. And you know why I won't buy a Cadillac? If somebody gave me one, I'd give it back. And the reason why is because people were living in those little bitty shack houses with those Cadillacs parked in the garage, or parked not in the garage because you ain't had no garage, because they saw somebody uptown.
Right.
Across the track, because there was a track where I lived.
Wow.
There was a track where I lived, and I could not go across the track after dark, but I could because my parents were school teachers, and that was the highest paid people in the town where I lived. So since people knew me, knew my parents, I could go across town, but somebody else could. My boyfriend couldn't go across town without me. So I lived that. So anyway, that's what we do. We see that. We see stuff on TV. We see the whole hair thing. We see the glamour, the glitz, and they tell, and people, and so society tells us we have to have this to live, and that's what happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So may I interject real quick, Rev? May I interject?
Yep, you got 2 minutes, and then we're gonna go to the chat because folks are going crazy in the chat.
I had when I was I shouldn't say obviously, but when I was a principal and I was doing those things, I made a good salary. I made a 6-figure salary. Now I want to say the number, so we have, because I want it to be a point of reference, not a point of anything but a point of reference. So I was able to, I had a nice house, and at the time I had a SUV. I saw another car, so I bought that car, and I had a motorcycle, right? So I had 3 vehicles. My girls would used to kid me like, girl, you got one behind, you got three cars to drive, right? I was never one that had to have the latest this or latest that, but I did have what it was that I wanted to keep, some money in my pocket, wanted to be able to do the things I wanted to do. So went to Texas, was making more money than that, got sick. I was in a beautiful 4-bedroom house, brand new, granite everywhere, all of this and that, nice car, motorcycle in the garage. And when I got sick, I went to my bathroom and my kitchen. And I only remember going to the kitchen because you would tell me you got to eat something. And I would go to the other bathrooms, watch this, to flush the toilet. Because I never, ever went into there. I had rooms that I never walked into, Red. I remember one day when I had started to get a little well, and I will never forget this as long as day I live. I was going out. I said, I got to get out the house. I wanted to go shopping to buy me something new. It was an outside mall in Pearland, Texas. And I was walking up there, and I felt funny. I felt weird, and I didn't know why. And I just kept saying, God, what is this feeling? I said, I realized then it had been 1.5 years, but by which I hadn't bought a thing, and I was still living. Good God of mercy. I was still living. I was still okay. I didn't need anything. I didn't want anything. I wasn't anything that was going to make me feel better or nothing like that. And it was in that moment that I actually became a minimalist. That moment where I was like, I can give all this stuff away. I don't need none of it. I got bedrooms that's fully furnished. For what? I got all this stuff, which is why when I left, I could leave everything behind. When I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Rev, I was on an air mattress with a fold-out chair for Walmart for 4 months and was the happiest I had been in my life. Y'all better come on here. I didn't have a sofa. I didn't have nothing. I had a box with some Ebony Vision pieces in it I forgot to put in storage. My laptop sat on there, a red fold-up chair from Walmart with an air mattress for 4 months, and was the happiest I had ever been in my life. Gave away everything. And I said that to say I learned it was then that I had gone through that journey, that 2 years in the bed, where I realized it didn't matter all the money that I had. First of all, was nothing more important than my health, but I didn't need all that stuff. I didn't need, you might see me online with this top on tomorrow. Come on, somebody, because I don't care. Because I don't care. Because it's not about what I got over here. It's what's coming out of me that God is blessing through me to go ahead and do this thing that I'm doing. And I learned how not to let what other people say influence the stuff that's going on. If you see it again, bless me, and we're going to keep on going. Because I don't need all that stuff. You have let me tell you why I said it. You have got to get yourself to a point where all that stuff don't even matter no more. It don't even matter no more to you. Miss Anita just said it, and Miss Anita, you got me beat because I'm in a studio and I think it's too big because I'm like, I don't need all this stuff. I don't need it. Did there, done it, write the book, don't need it because all I was doing, what did I say, was going into the other bathroom to flush the toilet. I'm finna mute myself. I'm gonna mute myself.
Doc, you are out. I was frustrated when we started this call because I couldn't get to my notes. I got questions. I got this whole sexy lineup. But the way God aligns what God is doing in our life is always going to be perfect. It's always going to be right on time. And when I tell you, you two sisters are blessing me personally right now, because I'm going through another shift. And what God is telling me is that, sister, it's going to be all right. All right, it's going to be all right. And in the words of Brother Kendrick Lamar, it's going to be all right, right. I mean, all the way, right? Q, DJ, whatever. So we got the chat over here going. We got so much stuff going on. David said he wants to hear more about the trading Forex. I don't even know what that is.
I hit him up. I got him.
Okay, but so we're going to, so you seeing all of this, but I want to get to this one where David also says, Tammie, you reminded me the other day about manna. Take what you need, not what you want. And that's exactly what y'all are talking about. So if we attach this all back to biblical principles, and Doc, Miss Anita, listen, anytime you want to talk about your God, you're welcome. Always. Don't need permission. Don't need a disclaimer. Don't need an excuse. God is always welcome. Wherever I'm doing, whatever I'm doing. And if it ain't right, come snatch me up and holler at me.
Right.
But manna, taking what you need for the day. Remember the biblical lesson? God said, go, I will provide manna for you every single day, but only take what you need. Because if you take too much, what's going to happen to it? It's going to rot.
It's going to spoil.
And it's going to go to waste. Doc, that's what you're talking about. All them rooms, all you're doing is flushing the toilet in all those rooms. Now, Mary says daily bread. That's exactly what it is. Wow, I'm Holy Spirit, guide us. I'm gonna throw it back to Miss Anita. Teach us some stuff. How do we go from all of that we that mindset of greed, of excess, of keeping up with the Joneses, buying stuff to impress people that we don't even like. How do we move beyond that mindset?
That's a really, really good question. And, Rem Tam, you know me for years.
I know a little bit about you.
Yeah, you know my story.
A little bit about you, that's all.
I really had to, and I think the reason why God, the universe, took me through all of those steps, because I said, this is what I wanted to do, right? Mm-hmm. This is what I wanted to do with my dissertation. This is what I wanted to do. And I remember telling my dad that I was going to pursue a PhD in finance, and I was going to talk about Black women and white women, the difference in their money. My dad said, well, you are really you gonna light up some stuff, right? You really gonna be lighting up, right? And I said, well, you already know I'm your daughter, right? I got it from you, And so in order for me, because trust me, I was making good money. I had cars. I had 2 cars, right? At one time I had 3 cars, at one time, right? And I had a car and it needed a transmission. I got the money to I finally got the money to pay for the transmission. And the day that I got it out, before the check was even cashed, it got wrecked. I love that car, that Acura. Loved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that car got totaled
Mm-hmm.
before the check was even cashed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to, and I think, and I think I had to go through the accident with the car. I had to go to driving a putt-putt kind of thing, and all the things that happened with the house, like it needed a roof, it needed a foundation, it needed this, it needed that, and for years the water thing broke, this broke, that broke, and I was constantly fixing it. And then one day I just told my dad, I said, I've had enough. This house is killing me. And come to find out, that house had mold in it. And I was wondering why I was sick all the time. I'd be sitting down and all of a sudden my asthma would come up, that kind of stuff. And my dad said, well, the Lord been telling you for 3 years to get rid of that house.
Uh-oh. That's a whole nother lesson, Miss Anita. That's obedience. Obedience. Uh-oh. Come on now. Come on. What you know about that? What do you know about obedience?
I have a hard head. I know that.
Good.
But once I made up my mind that I was basically done, you could come take it. Here, babe. Here the key. Take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I felt peace. I was like, Dr. C, I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I hear you, but I'm going to jump in right here really quickly, though, to ask you, though, but what was the shift? Okay, so because you didn't shift for 3 years.
Yeah.
Struggling in this place, and so was it just your dad saying God said for you to leave that house 3 years ago? What was it?
It was that, but it was like I was tired. I was basically just tired.
Oh.
Yeah, I had just gotten tired. I wasn't sleeping well. I was always sick. My asthma was, you know what? I have not been in the emergency room last year or this year. Wow. Every year before that, when I had that house, I was in the emergency room every year.
Wow.
Every year. So I had just gotten tired. And then I didn't know where I was going. I was looking for places and this and that, and nothing opened up. And then this guy that I go to yoga with said he had a room to rent, and it's in the suburbs, okay, in a gated community. And I'm like happy as I can be, right? And so and I didn't have a car, and he sold me his car.
Wow. So what I hear both of you saying,
so it was just time.
Simplicity first and foremost.
Right.
Stop being impressionable. Tammie, don't go get the $200 braids. Get you a $15 hat and put it on.
Right.
And be happy with how you look. Someone asked, so renting is more financially beneficial than owning. And then it says, what about families?
Can I address it? Can I give it?
Come on.
Can I address it? Can I go for it? So with that, because I've been watching that question, you asked what was the shift. I was speaking to a young lady that I was going to be coaching, and she got herself into a lot of financial challenges where I think many of us find ourselves. For whatever the reason is, you find yourself. With this stuff that's going on with COVID, you find yourself. And the reason why our mental health and our physical, spiritual, emotional health begins to wane is because of the pressure, right? Mm-hmm. It's because of the pressure that we put ourselves in. And I'm going to tell you, I want to make sure, Rev, clean up what I'm about to say, because the people going to lie on me and say I said something that I didn't say. So just track me for a minute. I said to her, she said, this one bill I got is like $1,000 a month. I said, stop paying it. You can't afford to stop paying it. I said, if nothing else, we and everybody in the same boat with COVID right now. Can't nobody pay nothing. Right? I said, why are you? Well, it's because I really did a good job of getting my credit to where it is. And you also made a decision that compromised that credit. So I say, either you can keep the pressure on yourself to keep doing what you're doing, or you can stop. and take the pressure off, because we're trying to live in this world where this number is. I will say this right now. Do y'all think when Warren Buffett wants to get a loan that they look at his FICO score? Oh my God, right there, because cash is always king. I try to tell the people, cash is always king. They're not looking at credit scores. And credit scores are really the middle class lie. But that's another conversation for another day. Hold on. We're going, no, because I ain't made my last point. I threw that out for free information. I ain't even made my last point. So,
you gotta at least let me hear it again. What did you say? What did you say?
I said, your credit score is the middle class lie. That's the lie they tell for us, because cash is always king. Y'all better know something. But again,
I pay cash for my car. Okay.
So did I.
It's a conversation for another day. Y'all ain't even gonna let me finish my last point. That was just a free one. That was a free point.
You gonna have time to do your last point. You can't. We all trying to catch our breath, T-Rex. We're trying to catch our breath. We trying to catch our breath. Right. They. You see them in the chat. Cash is king. Credit score is a lie. Yes, cash is king.
Cash will always be king.
Gateway for financial slavery.
But see, here's the thing: is that society has told us we need to have that as a community. That is in our brain, because guess what? Here again is where we have been oppressed, right? We haven't been able to buy, and we can't. So my thing is always a legacy. Always leave a legacy, whatever it is, right? Let me tell you something. My mother had a $3,000 life insurance policy, and she thought that was something. Now I'm flying, baby. She thought that was something. That's because her mentality.
Right.
Told her that, right? That's her mentality, right?
Come on.
And so we have been, and she thought that was good, right? And I didn't fight with her about it. She had a house that was clear. Hear what I'm saying now. She knew she had cancer, and she knew the doctor had already said 7 to 14 days, right? And so she had a house, and here I am, like, I'm love my mother, but let's take care of some business. Okay, right? I'm about some business, right? I'm like, come on, Mom. Just all you have to do is sign the paper. I sent my daughter, have her sign the paper that she is giving us the house. She didn't have a will. She didn't have nothing, trust, nothing. And she wouldn't sign that paper. And we lost that house.
Oh, Miss Anita.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Because she listened to my godmother saying, well, they're going to inherit the house anyway, so you don't have to sign no paper. And I'm going to tell you something. My mother was on her deathbed, and I used some language that I will not repeat here to my godmother. And to this day, my mother has been dead 6 years or something. I have not spoken to that woman since then. Should I forgive her? Probably so. Right? But because of her, we lost that house that was free and clear.
That goes to what Josh is saying in the chat. The American dream isn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's make your point. Make your last point. Come on, girl.
There's a lot that's embedded with that. And I don't. While I would almost maybe respectfully disagree with Josh, I wouldn't disagree. I would reframe it. That's what I would do. Is I would reframe it. And the thing is that we're living in this place where we have, like, because here's the thing about credit. Credit allows you to do what? Get something that you probably can't afford on credit to put you in more debt, right? Yeah, so if you had cash, understand the notion of what I'm saying. If you have cash, you don't have to worry about needing credit in the first place. That's the whole point. It's not to say to not have a home and to not do those types of things. But watch this. Everybody that I was when I was living in California, I think I had 10 houses at the time. When you can get a lot of stuff on paper with credit, I get that. I believe in it. I understand it. But the thing is that if you have cash is always going to speak louder than credit. Your credit can be in the trash and cash will still be king. Cash will still be king. And the thing is that we live outside of our means is the problem. We don't want to wait. We don't want to save up. We don't want to do what Miss Anita said. And instead of getting the shoes or the purse now, put it on the wall, do what you need to do, save up to be able to get it. We got to have it right now because we are a right now generation. And then what happens is in a time like this world pandemic, that pressure becomes insurmountable. It becomes insurmountable. And what we're holding on to is this ideology of money. And that's what this pressure is causing our physical, spiritual, mental, emotional selves to crumble, as opposed to go to a credit repair agency and have them bundle your stuff up, pay one bill, get that pressure off of yourself, and put yourself on a thing. You're saying, you know what? I can't do it like that anymore. I can't do it like that anymore. So I'm saying that and dovetailing into Sister's question about, is it better to rent or is it better to own? I believe in ownership. I absolutely do. As I said, I had 10 houses. For me, I got to a point, I turned 50 in January. I got to a point where I recognized that stuff wasn't bringing me happiness. That stuff wasn't it was bringing me more pressure than it was favor. It was bringing me more pressure than it was peacefulness. That's what was going on for me. And when I recognized that was the case, and I just didn't need the space, I just didn't need it. Why? Listen, Rev, you know what I want, a gigantic tiny house. Don't let that mess with nobody's brain of why I'm saying a gigantic tiny house, but I want a gigantic tiny house. That's all I need.
I'm throwing tissue at you right now.
That's all I want, because I don't need all that space. And that's, I think, what Miss Anita and I are saying is we just got to a point where it's like that happiness and that fulfillment and that love and that peace and that not stressing over money and that not worrying about if something happened. Because when you work for yourself, you know, you sun up to sundown, and your dreams and everything else is occupying you. I don't want to worry about that stuff. I would rather, watch this, live in a room right now and grind and do what I have to do, so that when I want to fly to California in first class in December, guess what a sister go do because she feels like it. That's what it is that I want to do. So I just didn't need that stuff. Yes, I will. I'm going to buy me another house. It's going to be a tiny house because I just don't need all that space or whatever the case may be. But I just had to go through that shift where I said, you guys, I promise you, when you get the pressure, the financial pressure off of your back, with however you need to lead, it clears up your mind for creativity. It clears up your mind and opens up the pathway to even hear what God is trying to tell you, that he's been telling you, I'm finna help somebody, that he's been telling you that you need to do, but you could not hear the still small voice because of the what? The pressure. And so sometimes you got to do what you got to do to lead the pressure along. Rev, I keep telling the people, the next time I get in the pulpit, the message of my sermon is let Jesus sleep. The reason why I'm preaching let Jesus sleep is because y'all talking to Jesus too much about stuff you got control over your doggone self. You can walk away your doggone self. You can leave some of that manna on the ground your doggone self. You can leave them shoes and that purse alone your doggone self, and stop getting it and then asking God to bless me to pay the bill. I'm trying to help somebody. Well, I warned you. I'm going to have to do myself. I'm going to have to drop my computer, Doc. Let Jesus sleep.
You know, and that's actually a really good point, right? Let them sleep. And you know, when you talk about renting or owning, I believe in owning your own home, but also don't just think of a home as your asset. You got stocks, you got bonds, you got all kinds of assets you can have. That's what a life insurance policy. Okay, we as a people don't normally buy life insurance policies, right? And when we do, we buy, we buy them small, right? Whatever that might be, 100, if you buy, the best way to pass on money now, I didn't say debt, I said money, cash, is through a legacy, right? And part of that legacy can be stocks, bonds, right? It can be, it's not no car, so let's get that straight, right?
Right.
And it can be through a life insurance policy, right? So you leave your grandkids, your kids, whatever it is, $200,000, $300,000, and then you put stipulated inside your will or your trust of how that money should be used.
Right.
Right? Now you talking cash money, right? And maybe you want to leave them more. I remember I went to the guy and I said, well, I want a $1 million policy. And he was like, no, you can't get it, right? Because he said I'd have enough assets to get a $1 million policy. I'd have enough earned income to get a $1 million policy. I said, what do I need to do to get a $1 million policy? How much I need to earn? And he told me, I got that on my wall. This is how much I need to earn for a $1 million policy, because I'm going to leave that for my kids, right? And my granddaughter, right? And I'm going to stipulate how it should be used. It's not for you to go buy no big old house. It's for you to, and then if you do, like for instance, if I do this business and I do this business in an LLC or a corp, it can be passed on or sold for some money so they can have that too. So you have, that's the mindset. That is the mindset. That's why we're at $1 or $5 in net worth, because we don't think like that. We don't think like that. Yeah, right. And you got to get that savings. That's true. You got to have that investment, not savings. Because when you say investment, right, that's a whole nother mindset.
Whole nother mindset. Miss Anita, I used to tell my son I wasn't going to tell him how much I had on life insurance policy because he might try to take a sister out. I said, I ain't even going to tell you. It's a secret. You'll try to take a sister out.
We're going to go on a commercial break right there. And when we come back, that's what we're going to talk about. Dr. T, when we come back, we really, really want to talk about investment and because we've dealt with the mindset, and so let's just pretend everybody on the call got the right mindset. Then what we do? So, ladies, as soon as we, so here we are. Here's the crazy thing: we've already been on this discussion almost an hour, almost an hour, and we just scratched the surface. So, first thing, number one, will y'all come back? Because we just scratching the surface. We just scratching the surface. So we gotta have you back.
Anytime you need me, Rev, you know that.
And then so number two, Josh, cue up the very last slide for the for our commercial. So the one that says bone and breast. We gotta pay bills. We gotta pay the bills. So
pay the bills. Gotta pay the bills.
Josh puts the video together. So we are taking a bone and breast break with Tammie Denyse. Next slide, please. Women, did you know that women who have had breast cancer treatment may be at increased risk for osteoporosis and fracture? Did you know that African American women are more likely, I didn't mess that all up. African American women are less likely than white women to participate in health screenings for osteoporosis or to receive an osteoporosis therapy when they are diagnosed with the disease. Because of treatment for breast cancer patients and given the improvement of longer-term survivals in breast cancer survivors, bone health and fracture prevention are important health issues to address. Next slide. Chemotherapy, some hormone therapies, some ovarian treatments, and removing the ovaries are all treatments that affect bone health. So breast cancer patients need to have the conversation about bone health with their oncologist. Next slide. If you haven't already, please follow Carrie's Touch on social media. We are on Insta, we're on Facebook and Twitter. So like and follow Carrie's Touch, and to donate, you can donate at www.carriestouch.org. That's www.carriestouch.org. Next slide, please. All right, thank you very much for that commercial break. So, ladies, we are on the wrap-up side of Doc. You're killing me with the you do. Can I get that look? I just need to know. Can I get that look? I got to do that. Okay, I'm copying
What are you
that.
talking about?
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Your screens. Your screens. Your screens. Loving it.
What?
Loving it.
What? I'm just listen. I don't even know what you're talking about, Doc. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's all right. I know. But as we wrap up, I'm going to give each of you 5 minutes to talk about investments. I know that's not enough time. That's why y'all got to come back. But in this session, 5 minutes to talk about investments. Because we've talked about cash is king, right? So cash is king. I've been a cash person since Bank of America lied on their protection policy. You know, you buy that little insurance that in the event something happens, then they'll pay your bill, all that other stuff. And that was probably about 12, 13 years ago. I haven't bought anything on credit in about 12 to 13 years. But investing and making your money grow and options for instead of life insurance policies. Talk to us. Well, Doc, you went first. So Miss Anita, talk to us. Oh, yeah. You got 5 minutes.
Okay. We're talking about investments, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So for me, actually what happens is I don't sell a product. I actually have someone that I work with that I say, if my clients want that as that part of their financial goals, I actually send them over to a couple of people and let them interview somebody and see which person is good for them that has that chemistry with them. But how I feel about investments is because I read this quote one time that says, if you're not making money in your sleep, then you'll never be rich. Right? So if you're working on, so you need to have, and that's what it means by have your money work for you. Right? Yeah. So if you're working all the time and okay, you got this debt, you know, we got this debt and you're paying your debt, you're doing this, but you're not able to invest in anything. You're not able to invest in anything. You're not able to buy a nice home, or you're not able to buy clothes or food or things like that, because you do have that pressure. So one of the things that when I was working with, I don't have it in front of me, but when I was working with a business strategist, when I was rebranding myself, one of the things that he said to me was, he gave me a circle, and he said, that's 100%. That's your money, 100%. That's $1, right? And so 25 cents go here, 75 cents go there, 2% come to you, and then the other should go into retirement or investments. Something like 10%, he said, right? And so what I tell my clients is, or my customers, my clients, or my friends, is that if you can't put 10, start with 3.
Right.
When I'm working myself back out of my debt, right? I would put $1. I would transfer $1. $1, right, to an account. One day I walked in there and I needed some money for an emergency. And I said, well, I was like, I probably got about $10, $15, $20. Let me just see what I got, right? Because I didn't even have a debit card to that account. Because I didn't want to know, right? I had to discipline myself, like Dr. T says, had to discipline myself. I was fooling myself. I was mindsetting myself, right? That woman told me, wait, you would have thought she told me I had $1 million. She said $100. I was like, what?
It adds up.
And so it adds up. It adds up. So yeah, so that's so if you cannot put 10% into some kind of retirement or savings plan or investment, just start with something that you're not going to miss. Mm-hmm. If $1 I was not going to miss, or $5 or $10, it's empowering just to do that. Yeah, and to see that money grow. Right? Like, for instance, I tell people about money market accounts, right? I have one and it's worked well for me, right? And so they're like, well, I'm like, it's liquid. Now, it just depends now. It depends on the person. It's liquid and it's inside the, Dr. T probably could talk more about this. It's inside the market. So you're going to get interest off of that as well. So I really believe in that as well. So that's what I have for it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I like that. Dr. T?
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to write down a couple of things as Miss Anita was talking. There are a couple of things. So obviously I said I'm a trader myself. I do trade. I trade Forex. I trade. I'm doing still to dabble a little bit in crypto. A lot of this may be kind of over some people's heads. I trade. I don't generally trade any individual stocks. I trade the NAS, the S&P 500, the Dirty 30, US 30. And I primarily, as I said, I work and I coach with people who do a lot of trading. And so the question was about investment. Here is the thing about investment. It is, you have to understand this notion of learning versus earning. Okay, this notion of what I call learning versus earning. And what happens is when people are ready to get in any type of investments, and there's a lot of things you can invest in. You can invest in real estate, you can invest in the stock market, you can invest in windmills, you can invest in diamonds, you can invest in new energy. What you're investing in pales into comparison to the learning part first. And what ends up happening is we want the dream. Everybody got a dream. Everybody got the story. They see the house, the car, they see the lifestyle, they want the story, and they forget about the learning of what it is that you have to do. And there's where the problem comes in. So I don't generally, while I can speak very specifically, I can tell you the 5 pillars of trading that I have. I can tell you specifically some things about Forex. I can tell you which route to go, how to do this, that. I'm steering away from that because the premise is still the same. It is learning versus earning. But even, Rev, with the learning part before the earning, because what people do is they get misconstrued and they see the earning, they see the dollar amount, they see what the potential of what it is that they can make, and they go for that and they forget the process in that comes with that. That's the learning part. But even between the learning and the earning is the study. The book talks about the study part. I don't need to quote it right now, but it talks about the study part. We want to jump the system. We want to jump the system. People that want to just say, oh, it looks like I can start flipping houses. They do it on TV. I could just start flipping houses. And they see the earning of flipping houses. They don't want to go through the learning of flipping houses and then the study of what you actually have to do to go in to see what you need to see in order to be an efficient house flipper in the first place. That's the first problem. Second problem is people need to start rerouting funds. I was asking my people this question the other day. It was a setup, Rev. I was asking them how much money they wanted to make in the stocks, in their accounts, and what was the dream, and how much did they want to make, and they were telling me how much they seen in the millions and the 100,000 and the whoop whoop. And I asked them how much did they start their trading account with, right? And they was telling me, 200, 500. I said, so what? And then I asked them, how many of you have ever run? I will pose that question here. How many have ever run a multi-million-dollar organization? And then there were crickets, because what ends up happening is we have a multi-million-dollar dream without a multi-million-dollar work ethic. We have a multi-million-dollar dream without multi-million-dollar studying. We haven't even had a side hustle that's made us $10,000 yet, but now we want to get into this investment opportunity that's going to solve all of our financial problems and overcome our financial mistakes that we have made, and we don't want to learn and we don't want to study. That becomes the problem. And then you don't really want to put the money behind what that you have to take. Derek just said champagne taste on beer money, right? And they don't even got the beer money. It's the cheap Carlo Rossi wine money that they got, but that's another story for another. And that was petty. I apologize for the pettiness. So we have to start rerouting. We have to reroute. We have to reroute some things, which means you might have to cut a couple of things off. You might have to stop doing a couple of things, because if you're really trying to invest, you need to be able to do just that, invest. Miss Anita talked about, see, why some people can turn their nose up to kind of what Miss Anita said is because it was too little. The number was too little, right? The number was too little, but it was 100 more than she had. Right? It was more than she had. And people, because again, they bypass the work and they see the long distance dream without wanting to do the consistency work to get there. That is my word. If I was to leave anybody with anything, with what you're doing, if it's trading, if it's investment, it is the consistency. It's not about the money. It's about the consistency. If you're going to invest in real estate, you have to be consistent. If you're going to invest in diamonds, you have to be consistent. You have to read about it. You have to know about it. You have to study about it. If you want to get on the stock market and trade oil, you better know what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. And I bet y'all didn't know you need to pay attention to Canada, because 40% of the oil comes from there. That was free information too. But you have to know these things, right? You have to know what it is that you're talking about when you're getting to investments. You have to reroute your money. Start storing up some money. Start with little things, because little things become big things. And finally, as Miss Anita was saying, it was Robert Kiyosaki in the 4 quadrants that he has. He talks about one of the 2 quadrants that a lot of us want to find ourselves in. And when you want to find yourself in quadrant 4, where you're a business owner, what Miss Anita was talking about, but many of us don't understand that we are still self-employed. And she gave you a hint of how you can tell the difference. If you stopped right now today, the question is, would you make money? So if you are the brand right now, Dr. T, I am the brand of Dysciplined. If I stopped working, am I going to make money? Well, the good news of that is yes, because I have recurring income with it, right? And that's why she said, if you go to sleep and you can wake up and see money in your account, you have crossed over from being self-employed to being a business owner. If you get sick and something happens to you, if you stop shop, will it continue to go? But the good thing is get in where you fit in. Get in where you fit in. If right now you could do $5, be consistent with 5, because when you get consistent with 5 and it starts to grow, you'll see 10. Rev, my son alone has saved thousands of dollars working down the street at 2 small class restaurants and ready to buy a car for himself off the lot when he gets back from the United States Army, because he did what I told him to do. Put this money. This is the no touchy account. That might bless somebody. The no touchy account. An emergency, your emergency is not an emergency. It's a no touchy account. It's a no borrow account. Their emergency does not constitute your touchy account, because that's a no touchy account, right? You have to learn how to separate some of your stuff out. And I think that when you begin to do that and get on that road to consistency, then we can have a conversation about where we should go. That's my certain amount for the.
That's beautiful. That is, I mean, that's just beautiful. both of you have just, Josh said he's blown away. Derek saying awesome. The chat is loving you too again. And there's so much more to talk about because, there's a lot, because I know the both of you, there's a lot that you talked about that I'm already doing. But Doc, you just took me to a whole nother stratosphere when you talked about the business element in this quadrant. So that's a deeper conversation that I'm looking forward to, because this conversation was for the people, but definitely as a business owner with Carrie's Touch and our growth and where we're going to, we want to be in that number, right, to where we are maximizing our financial efforts and assets. How about that? Thank you for everything that you have shared from your personal journey. When we make that thing personal, it hits a little bit differently. It's all fire. It's like they say, it's tight, but it's right. It has been a phenomenal afternoon of just hanging out together, talking about stuff that's necessary. Ladies, thank you so very much. We are honored to have you and have been blessed today.